Life can be very hard. Trying to balance school, work, and family, things can get very stressful, overwhelming, and hectic. How do we find peace, calmness, and control?
My name is Kier. I'm actually a traveling monk. My friend's over there.
My name is Janet Marroquin.
My name is Cardin Orr. I'm a freshman here at USU.
My name is Braden, and I work as a Chief Operations Officer for a capital firm.
I'm Dr. Christopher Warren. I'm a cognitive neuroscience. I'm a research professor at Utah State University.
We're going across the country right now, distributing ancient books from the Vedas to college students.
I'm a residential real estate agent and a mom.
I'm taking engineering classes. This is my first semester of college. I'm trying to get a job.
Is life hard? Well, yes, life is hard, of course. Every day is met with new challenges or trials. It kind of depends on how you're feeling that day, how you look at them, right?
Yeah, I think life is supposed to be hard. I think it's kind of the purpose. If it's not hard, then you're not growing, and I think we're here to grow, so it should be hard.
Tough classes or assignments, the exams coming up. When it comes to mine, it's my chemistry class, trying to get a good enough grade, but still have times for other things.
Every day we're just trying to survive, whether that's getting money to provide for yourself or for your family, or that's getting through the things that you need to do that you don't necessarily want to do. What do I do when life gets hard? Well, I have a good way of doing things and I have a bad way of doing things. The bad way, I would stick to myself and waste my time on things that just aren't very productive. The good way that I deal with things when they get hard is it involves a little more mindfulness, right? I do still like to go off on my own because I can be in the quiet, I can think, but I have a different mindset about it. And I think kind of what we're talking about today, meditation is involved, and some other grounding and calming practices that I do. And I talk to myself about, why am I stressed about this particular thing? Why is it important? What's in my control and what isn't?
Sometimes I just have to take a break and step back and relax a little bit and then dig back in. And other times I jump right in and I get to work and I problem solve. And sometimes it takes reaching out to others. Sometimes it takes a little bit of therapy or mentoring.
So my meditation story, I was serving a 2-year religious mission. And a lot of this time of the mission, you are walking out in public. So you'd be walking miles upon miles. And, I'd probably been out on this mission for 4 or 5 months. I was pretty new out there. And I started to get some pain in my feet. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. I'm walking all the time. The next week, it was all of my legs, like both my legs from top to bottom. And I'm like, well, hopefully, my muscle memory is building and I'm strengthening my legs or something. And then it got into my lower back and I was starting to have trouble sleeping because of the discomfort. And then the next week it was my whole back. And I was like, geez, this is bad, but it's part of the job and I'm fine to push through it. It's just something I got to deal with. And then eventually what started to happen was I started to get headaches. But not just any kind of headache. It was my first time ever getting them. I came to understand later that they're called ocular migraines. Essentially what would happen is, when you turn on the TV and there's the fuzzy channel because there's no signal, my eyes would start to do that and I would lose vision, kind of like exactly where I would look. And over the course of 20 minutes, it would spread to all of my eyesight. I might have tiny windows in my peripheral that I could still see through, but once the 20 minutes was up, my vision would come back, but I would be left with a raging migraine, so an ocular migraine. And this started to happen almost every day, if not every other day. At this point, I'm like, geez, this obviously isn't normal. This is something that I should probably address and get help for. But I try my best not to go to the doctor if it's something that I can deal with myself. So I tried a number of things. I tried changing my diet. I tried sleeping more. I tried exercising a little more. I tried all these different things, and nothing seemed to help. So I eventually called the doctor over us in the mission, and she set me up to a doctor's appointment. I went and explained to him what I was going through, and he gave me some migraine medication. He's like, as soon as you start to have the ocular stuff, take a pill and it should go away. So the next day I got an ocular migraine. I popped a pill right as the vision started to blur, and everything went numb within 10 minutes. Like my spine, I felt like I didn't have a spine. I could barely walk, or if I did walk, I didn't even know I was doing it. It was the strangest feeling. So I got up from my desk when it kind of hit me. I went and laid down and slept for a few hours until the medicine had worn off. And I'm like, that's awful. Never gonna do that again. So I threw away the rest of the pills, and I'm like, great, what do I do? I still have this problem. I've tried everything. What do I do?
With so much going on in life, it's hard to know what will help. What if I told you that there was a simple way all of us could find more peace, calmness, and control in our own lives?
The first few things that come to mind are probably like yoga, or kind of sitting cross-legged and just trying to like find some zen or whatever it is. And I think there's a lot of value in being able to clear your head and have that sort of mental control, I guess.
Meditation means having some sort of practice where you fixed your mind and your intelligence on a certain point.
I think meditation can mean a lot of things to me. When I meditate best, I will go to nature and just be still, just breathe, just take in the sky, feel the wind, enjoy the sounds of nature. Other times when I meditate, I try to sit in stillness, and breathing to me is a huge part of meditation. I've recently learned some good breathing techniques, and I feel like it's been really helpful. Also, prayer to me is a form of meditation. I've realized that when I am in conversation with my God, that's a great form of meditation for me.
And so kind of calming yourself down to the point where you're able to think about it logically that way, it will help you to maximize your efficacy in dealing with the things that are at hand. It was a simple 5-minute exercise of breathing in through my nose and out through my mouth, and it was a lot of mindful thinking about the stress that had built up inside of me and releasing it with each breath.
I think there's a lot of value in being able to clear your head and have that sort of mental control. But I do think it was good to have like a time where I can, not worry about the stress of other parts of life, where it can kind of be blocked off and there's boundaries to where I'm just here relaxing almost.
The overwhelming amount of evidence suggests that it is very good for helping you manage stress. If you're somebody that struggles keeping your emotions under control, that meditation techniques can really help you to relax in periods of high stress and to be able to function better in your stressful time of life, because you're taking the time to meditate and manage that stress.
Well, it's awakened a sort of spiritual vision and helps me understand that actually the human form of life that we have, it's not just meant for eating hot dogs and watching TV, but actually the human form of life is meant for self-realization. It's meant to have some sort of meditational practice, and it's meant to inquire into the nature of reality.
I have a very highly stressful job and lifestyle, and I do like to push myself, and meditation is a good way to center myself, to help me to be able to focus. And when I am feeling overwhelmed, I've found that since I've learned the practice of breathing, by myself breathing, it's a good key to myself that I need to change something. I need to take a minute, regroup.
I think it's something I'd definitely be willing to try. I don't know what the results would be, but I think there's people who talk about it. I think it definitely could be worthwhile, good thing
I think that it is very good for our health. I think it's very good for us in general to be able to find that stillness to avoid stress. That's in my personal experience.
So my brother is a very big meditation instructor. He's one of the most popular meditation instructors on the Calm app, which is one of the big apps for meditation. I've definitely seen massive changes in him. I mean, he basically got into meditation because it was a chapter in one of his books. So he was doing a book about consciousness in all aspects, hypnotism, the zone that athletes get in, sleep, dreaming. And so meditation was just one chapter, and then he got hooked, and he ended up focusing most of his time and energy on that, and now he's one of the world's most popular guided meditation teachers. So I've seen what it can do for him.
I don't quite recall what happened. I think it was at some type of meeting for the mission. Someone had talked about meditation, and it might have been in the sense of spiritual meditation, but I kind of took it as a physical thing as well. And I found an app on my tablet that I had called Calm. I just started with their tutorial, their basic how to meditate. And essentially what it taught me was how to do 5-minute breathing exercise. And so I started to do a 5-minute breathing exercise when I first woke up and right before I went to bed. That's all. So 10 minutes total in the day. Within a week, my migraines had stopped. Within the next week, my back pain had completely disappeared. And then the week after that, I felt no pain from my waist below. So all of a sudden, all my issues were gone because I began meditating. And what I realized was, so I had built up all this stress and I had no way to get rid of it. So finally, I found a way that I could do so that was congruent with my purpose as a missionary. And that was meditation and breathing exercises. And it genuinely helped. And it has helped me to this day. Strangely enough, I still get ocular migraines. They started on my mission and they've never gone away, but they really only affect me when stress builds up too high. If I'm consistent in my meditation, they do not come. And so that's how it's made a huge impact in my life. It's changed my life, and it helped me to heal. So, setting time aside, even 5 minutes in morning and night, 10 minutes of your day, it can make a drastic difference for you, and it can really help you to manage your stress. Do yourself a favor and set aside 10 minutes a day. Life gets hard because we get stuck up here. Life can get really hard because you become overwhelmed with all the things that you have to deal with. And that's not to say that the things you have to deal with aren't hard, that they probably are, but we all get that. How are you going to deal with it? You can let it overwhelm you and pile up. Or you can take some mindful meditation, some breathing, give your brain and your body the ability to expunge some of the stress that's holding it down. As well as, once you get to that point after the 5 minutes, your mind is a lot more clear, so you can more accurately assess the situation that you're dealing with. And you're able to recognize again what you can and cannot control. And from there, you're able to have better direction on how you need to address things.
The power of your mind and thoughts are very powerful. We've seen from many examples that when you give yourself time to think, to be calm, to be at peace, and to meditate, your life is greatly benefited.
In your brain, you have different rhythms or frequencies of activity, and they serve different functions. So basically, your neurons tend to fluctuate in that they go through periods of high activity and low activity. And these periods are like, you can think of them like waves. The crest of the wave is when all those neurons are firing a lot, and the trough of the wave is when all of those neurons are slightly more quiet. And so these fluctuate, these waves across your brain fluctuate at different frequencies, and different frequencies do different things. One of these frequencies is called gamma, and it's sort of like about 30 crests per second. So it's pretty fast. So all these neurons are like, but they would go through that like 30 times in a second. And that frequency range has really been implicated in long-range communication across the brain. So when some part of your brain up here that is involved in planning, how you're best going to run an obstacle course, and some part of your brain over here is visualizing, is actually representing the motions of vaulting over some obstacle. When they have to talk to each other and be thinking of the same thing at the same time, they tend to resonate at the same frequency of the gamma frequency. And so in meditation, gamma frequency tends to be increased, and the coherence across the brain tends to be increased, meaning that it's, in really, really experienced meditators, when they get to that state of what they sometimes call enlightenment or oneness, the whole brain is resonating at this high frequency at the same time.
Now that we've heard some excellent real-life examples on how meditation can benefit someone's life, and we've also heard from a psychology professor whose job is to study the mind and learn how it works, it's hard not to question if meditation can benefit your life. With something so easy and simple, it's worth a try.
So my advice to anybody who's struggling, meditate. Do 5-minute breathing exercises right when you wake up and right as you go to bed. And if you need more, do more. But get in the habit of just 2 times a day. And I can say, at least in my own experience, that helped my life tremendously. And it still does to this day.